Hi everyone, this is Lee from STEP Academy, and we are very honored this afternoon to have with us Mr. Benjamin, who teaches H2 biology. So, Benjamin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what do you teach?
Okay, so hi everyone. I am a H2 bio tutor and I've been teaching since, oh my god, I'm old. I've been teaching since 2004, so it's the previous decade. Yeah. And currently I'm running J1 and J2 H2 bio classes. And very interestingly, I'm doing everything online. So I'm still one of those who is very recalcitrant, not going back to physical classes and choosing to stick to the online medium.
Ben, just a quick catch up with you. How's lessons online so far for you in the past few months?
I think it's been a big learning curve for me. I'm considered a semi-dinosaur, and transiting to an online medium, it's quite the journey. But I see a lot of advantages for it, and I think the virus situation is always changing, so it's safer to stick to the online medium. And
Yes, because you're a bio tutor, so I guess later we'll ask you a little bit about the updates of COVID.
yes,
But
sure
I think
thing.
for interview today, we are very interested, and especially for our viewers who are viewing this video, we want to try to find a little bit more about H1, H2 biology. So can you tell us the differences between H1 and H2 bio?
Okay, so basically the difference between H1 and H2 biology is actually not too much. Basically, the materials are quite similar, except that at the H1 level, some of the tougher topics, such as the extension topics, are taken out of the syllabus. And for many of the core topics, they are reduced at least by half. So that's the H1 level. The H2 level is the full course, you get everything. So it's much tougher and the coverage is much more comprehensive. And the questions, unfortunately, that comes at the A-level exams is also tougher as well. Yeah.
Okay. Probably you can give us a number, so for example, is it like 30% to about 40% more like in terms of H2 that maybe you can just give an approximate number so our viewers can know or how much more they have to study if they take H2.
So at the H2 level, at least 40%. And unfortunately, in some schools, the school teachers are very kiasu in that way. Or they don't train skills. So what they do is they teach you everything under the sky and hope that some of them will come off the exam, rather than they train you with the skills and you learn to apply. So you're not learning to solve problems, you're just memorizing everything under the sky. And in schools that are like that, the teacher can expand the H2 syllabus beyond the 40% that I've just guesstimated to another 20-30% on top of that. So when it comes to the actual content that the students have to learn in these schools, it's crazy, unfortunately.
Well, seems like there's a lot, like because for H2 chemistry, we understand that there's a lot of applications. So, for example, like to do well in H2 chem, it's really to apply instead of trying to regurgitate. So maybe you can enlighten our viewers. What do you think is the best route to excel in H2 biology?
So if you want to manage, so do I get your question is like how to manage H2, H2
Correct.
bio. Okay.
How is it different from O level bio probably because like O level bio like we can still memorize and we practice the 10 year series but it's really different let's say O level chemistry versus A level H2 chemistry so we just want to draw a little bit of parallels from O level bio and A level H2 bio.
Yeah, it's I think it's similar to chemistry in a sense.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of wrong misconceptions. A lot of people think that if you memorize stuff for O levels, right, you can continue to memorize and memorize for A levels, and you'll be pretty fine. But unfortunately, because it's like the O level biology is like you see a lot of like bigger picture stuff. So you see the ecosystems lah, you see different organ systems in the human body lah. So everything is generally a bit bigger picture. But when it comes to A-level bio, everything is micro. Everything is within a cell. And when things happen inside the cell, it's not sequentially one after another. It could be non-sequentially. It could be 10 or 20 things happening at one time. So that's where a lot of people have problems with. But I always tell students, if you want to cross the bridge from O levels to A levels, you have to first try to understand the concepts before even memorizing. Because if you memorize without understanding, if the scenario changes a little bit, you'll be completely lost. There's no way you can try to apply. But when you understand certain things, your understanding can be twisted and turned in whatever situation that is to make your answer for the A-levels, whatever scenario it comes. And also the memory work reduces the understanding reduces the amount of memory work you actually have. Because a lot of things can be worked out on the spot if you really understand what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Guess like there's a huge element of application as well in H2 biology. Now bring back to the differences between H1 and H2 bio. How about like in terms of the papers tested? As for example, you can enlighten the viewers like is it like are there any essay questions, etc. And how are the structured questions planned differently?
Actually, in terms of H1 and H2, there's not much difference in terms of the exam format, except that the extension topic and paper 3 is taken out of the requirements. So you don't have to go through the paper 3, which has the long stimulus text, and then the extension topics and the essay questions. But unfortunately, you still have the MCQs and the short answer structured questions. And this is quite similar to an extent to the H2 bio syllabus. So it's quite similar. There's not much difference except that the coverage of the materials in each of the questions is lesser. So it's easier in that sense.
I see. So that means like for those who are interested in a hybrid program and thinking of a H1 subject to choose, so probably like H1 bio is very good for them. Like probably they're still a little bit interested in bio and not just anatomy but the cell level and molecular. So is this would you encourage like students who are looking at for a contrasting subject to take H1 bio?
Okay, so the contrasting subject in terms of bio, I think H1 bio is worth it because the reduction is quite significant. But unfortunately, this is school dependent because there are some school teachers who kind of recycle the H2 syllabus to H1, and they just tell you they're teaching everything, and then you need to know everything. But then at the end of the day, you realize actually there's a lot of things you don't need to know. But the reduction is significant. So for those people who are interested in the H1, I think this is a good choice, especially those people who are in arts, because I find that biology is the most arty-farty subject of all the science subjects. So with chemistry, there's clarity, so it's either white or it's black. There's very few, if any, gray areas, right? But in biology, basically almost everything is gray. I always tell my students, never say never. So if you are like, in an art stream, right, this biology as a contrasting subject would be quite interesting because there are certain areas where you can actually discuss. So there's no regulated course content. Of course, you have to learn the materials, but you can argue your way out. Like one of the topics is diversity and evolution. Diversity and evolution traces the development of organisms over a long period of time. The thing is, nobody is there, from day one all the way to current day to see exactly what happened. So there's no black and white answers. So in this case, people who are very good in discussing, in consolidating information and trying to discuss, this would be perfect. So this is one of the tools that you learn in biology.
So I think it's a good compliment for students who like writing as well as essay-based questions, because you're able to elaborate and develop ideas which you have come across. So there's less memorizing now. So I think that's a very good note to take note of for our students who are doing this. So at the H1 contrasting subject. So us students especially, please take note of this. Now, then we move to H2 bio, because I have some students who are curious. I think I just want to find out a little bit more about H2 bio. Let's say if you want to study medicine, for example, do I need H2 bio at the A levels?
Okay. How do I even begin? it is preferable to have the H2 bio as one of the subject combis when you're applying for medicine, because there's actually a lot of overlaps with the H2 syllabus. Since H2 is packed at such a high level now, the new syllabus actually contains a topic immunology. And immunology is a really complex subject that actually many only start to grapple with it at the university level. And now the Singaporean version of the A-levels require you to know immunology, and not just at the surface, mind you, we go right in, you know. So there's a lot of overlaps between the H2 biology going into medicine. And because the rigor of the medical program is really high, so people with biology actually has a very great advantage of actually knowing what's going on. But having said that, I have come across people who have chosen to do something else like PCEM, so physics, chemistry, econs, and mathematics. And I know of one such individual who have actually made it through the shortlist, and then through the interview and into the medical program. And unfortunately, it's quite stressful for her, and she was looking to do a bridging program. That's why she looked me up, and we have to start everything from scratch in a very short period of time.
I see. So
it's possible.
We know that to apply for medicine at, for example, NUS, you need 2 H2 sciences, and we know that H2 chemistry is compulsory.
Yes.
But at this juncture, we are trying to say that H2 bio does give you an H.
But it's not compulsory.
Medicine, and because some of the courses which are covered at the H2 bio would be applicable in what you study at the university level. Is this what we're trying to conquer at this point?
Yes. So it's not compulsory, but it's definitely very helpful.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, we have another question to ask, which is that some students who really like research, for example, like at the genetical and cell level. So what do you think about H3? Can you give us some information? What do you think?
Okay, H3 is most often is run by the universities themselves. So it is run at a much higher level, and the requirements for I feel that when it comes to H3, right, it takes up a lot more time, and I feel that this may not be very helpful for the person, especially for people who are like quite ambitious and they take 4 H2s already. So when you are taking H3, you need to spend even more time when 4 H2s is already like, you know, such a burden on your shoulders. So when you tag on to the H3, it's crazy.
Maybe you can enlighten us like what kind of projects is incorporated in H3? Is it like one of research endeavor, for example, like studying whether cancer drug work on certain cell lines, or is it like going to test on I'm not sure. Maybe you can give us a little bit more clue.
Unfortunately, the research. So I'm unfortunately not able to give you more details of the research because this is run by the universities. Like all the history programs, they are run by the universities. And it really depends on the lecturer or the professor who's running the course. And unfortunately, instead of like, you know, following through, like you've got a topic in mind and you'll be doing meaningful research, unfortunately, this will not be true, because in majority of the biological experimentations, first, it takes a lot of time. And some of these technologies that's used are like requires you to be using radioactive isotopes, for example, like in southern blots. And these are some things that students are not able to access. So in a sense, when it comes to the research work, there's very limited scope. So if you're going to say like, oh, you know, maybe we could identify a new treatment strategy for cancer, I'm unfortunately going to tell you the magnitude of the research work will be much, much lower than that.
Okay. Well, seems like it is very, very time consuming. So better to like weigh our options carefully first before embarking on endeavors which would take up the time as so. Okay, so yeah, thanks for discussing that. So we also have another question about like H2 chemistry versus some students they're saying that if I take like H2 chemistry, then I want to take another science. So H2 physics, H2 bio. So I guess like there are some students who have also asked you that question. So, but what's your take on that?
I I will not say anything about physics because I'm not a physics person, so I dare not, But let me talk about the bio perspective. So
like some advice like a student is undecided, but probably like from a point of view, this student wants to take biomedical, life sciences at uni, or maybe food sciences or pharmaceutical sciences. So we're coming from this angle. So what do you recommend, physics or bio? Maybe you can share a little bit more about the merits of bio and to help our students make a more informed choice.
In fact, I'm going to turn the question completely upside down. So I'm going to talk about what is the skill sets you can actually gain from taking H2 biology, and that is communication. So this goes back to a story long time back where I know a friend who is a headhunter, and he headhunts for like top positions in companies at the chief level, the CEOs, the COOs, CIOs, and so on. So he headhunts at that level because usually their commission is really good. So you get like 1 month, and for one headcount, successful headcount, that's an easily mid-5-digit figure. So the thing he always wants is to fill as many locals as he can into such position, because this is the white collar, right? And that's his like, if I can get as many. But unfortunately, he in many instances he could only offer shortlisted candidates who are non-locals, and he realized that a lot of them, the locals that he has come across, have very weak communication skills. They cannot talk to survive. And what I propose for H2 biology is that when you come into the course, you are actually thrown into the depths of learning how to communicate. So where a lot of other subjects use numbers as a way of communicating, biology used words. So almost all the time when students come to me with their work, we'll discuss, are you really meaning what you're trying to say? Look at what you have just written. It doesn't really correspond with what you really understand. So it is from that point that this skill set is gained, and this skill set can be honed over many essays and structured questions lah. But this is one skill set which I feel is something that H2 biology can offer for students who are really interested in the subject. And of course, in addition to that, of course, it also opens up a deeper appreciation of the life sciences, which give you options to enroll in courses which are life science related. So of course lah, that's of course lah. Yeah.
So in short, we're trying to say that H2 Bio offers a very good skill set to equip students with in terms of trying to make abstract ideas coherent, and this will actually train up students better for the workplace. So I think that's a very interesting point of view, because many a times we're looking just at the academical level and just looking at grades to achieve for example, A level. So we can use a springboard for this for our university applications. But nonetheless, there are actually many essential soft skills which are taught in different subjects. So we have uncovered a gem here in taking H2 Bio. So really thank you, Ben, for shedding light on this. So then any other things that you would like to offer to some of our students who intend to take H2 Bio, and how to cope, in the rigorous A-level system for it?
Okay, so unfortunately, I think with every other subject as well, there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears involved. And with biology, because a lot of topics are so closely intertwined together, a lot of students don't realize how intertwined it is. And when they study, they always study by dissecting it down to topics. And the school teachers are not helping, because what they're saying is, for tests, you only need to study this to this. So over time, students also just focus from this to this and I don't care about anything else. My advice to students who are doing H2 biology is to first have a good foundation and try as much as possible when your school teachers tell you, oh, if you study this, right, try to find another topic within the subject to study, and then lead yourself into the topic that's being tested by the teacher. So over time, you gain this ability to link different topics together rather than to have a very microscopic view of the syllabus.
I see. Sounds like a lot of synaptic connections there.
Yeah. In fact, in some of the exam questions, some of the best quality answers actually show like a multi-topical answer perspective to the answer.
I think that is very precocious of what Ben has shared. So, so students, please watch out and present and bring a lot of depth, a lot of light into, especially your essays, come from many points of view. Because bio, we examine just one single topic from many different angles. So, wow, thank you so much. And Ben, maybe you can share a little bit about like your YouTube channel and how students can actually learn and benefit from your channel and to value add to what they can be taking in H2 Bio.
The YouTube channel is a personal project of mine. It's quite interesting in a sense where I realized that the skill set I have in teaching bio has become a very useful thing in this current day. So there are a lot of people who don't understand biology, but yet at the same time, the applications of biology is making headlines almost every day now, and it's going to change the world. That's why there are fund houses like ARK Invest, which created an investable instrument that only focuses on investing in biotech stocks. So my YouTube channel is actually trying to simplify the science behind some of these biotech stocks. What are the theoretical principles behind it? And some of these theoretical principles are exactly what is being covered in the H2 syllabus. So when students come over to my YouTube channel, they are looking at how some of the things that I teach in class is now being applied in real life. And not only that, some of these applications in real life is making a significant difference to people, for example, with diseases. Like genetic diseases is something that we have absolutely no cure at this point in time. It's only like symptomatic treatment. But there's exciting advances which allow for genetic manipulation so that you can be corrected at the genetic level, and the genetic disease is going to be history. And this is going to happen in the next few years. So students come over to the YouTube channel to get even more excited with H2 biology.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way of invoking interest, not just at the academical level, but truly love and passion for the subject to be able to let more ideas flow through. And not just is this having very good impact on the academics, but I guess students can also understand better at what's happening in the world and in the development of bio, and also monetarily, like in the stock markets, like buying stocks. So this I think it's a very good channel to have, to follow and subscribe. So, and maybe you can share a little bit more about your lessons for H2 Bio, so our viewers, if they're interested, they can find out more from you.
Okay, in terms of my lessons, right now I'll describe the current e-format because really, we are not sure how the situation is going to evolve in the near future. But currently, with the e-format, I distribute pre-recorded classes, and then students, they come to, during the registered time slot, they actually, we have a Google Meet where I call all my students, and then I'll run through some questions with them. They run through some questions with me, and then I'll talk about some of the interesting aspects of the H2 Bio syllabus. So basically, the interactive session is very intense. There's a lot of back and forth. So students, they ask me a lot of questions. And actually, I find that the more questions they have, the happier I am, because that means that they are really tuning into the pre-recorded sessions. So so they do the pre-recorded sessions, then we have an interactive session where we go back and forth. And then after that, I talk a little bit of biohacking. So with some of the things that we have learned in the H2 bio syllabus, like biomolecules, for example, I teach them how to, based on the understanding of biomolecules, how to biohack and improve themselves. If they are biologically far more efficient, the way they run the body is far more efficient than somebody else, even though two persons may have the same preparations, that one person who slightly have a slight edge versus everyone else would finish earlier, hopefully.
Interesting. Yeah. So, since with all this discussion going on in your classes, it will really help students to understand not just at the notes level, but having a very deep appreciation of bio in a sense, and you ultimately prepare them for the A level. Yeah, so thank you so much, Ben, for all of this. I think it will really help our students to decide for their subject choices and also to value add during their course of these 2 years for H2 Bio. Is there anything that you'd like to add or anything that you would like to tell the students or viewers at this juncture?
Not much beyond the fact that I think if you really enjoy biology, this would be a choice that we definitely want to consider, because at the H2 level, there's actually a lot of questions in life that can be answered, especially some students who experience, unfortunately, some sickness either in a family or relative or even at the school level. So at the H2 level, you can dissect down all the way to the core of what the problem is and have a much better appreciation of life. So for those people who have this interest, of course you must do H2 bio. Yeah. But for people who are afraid of the rigor of the program, still interested in the subject, but very afraid of the amount of work, because biology is known to be, in terms of the amount of work that needs to be prepped for, is a lot. So for those who are still interested but don't want to do so much, then the H1 is definitely something that you should consider.
Yeah. Okay. So thanks for that this enlightening. So we understand that, especially when you're choosing subject combinations, why it can be daunting. Also keep an open mind for our viewers, because our world is developing very and changing very quickly. So and we do foresee the next wave of our development in the business world. Like we had a social media change in this 2006, 2007, and the next wave very likely is going to be combined tech with medical and medical accessories. So do take note of the H2 Bio as a very good springboard to take for your future career prospects. So thank you so much, our viewers, for joining us, and thank you, Ben, for giving such a good and insightful session for us. So, and we wish all our viewers a great time. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you have any inquiries, you can always drop us a comment below our videos and we'll get back to you. So, and see you next, and all the best for your subject combi posting.